Okay, so after being given 24 hours to process what happened with a certain 5 council decision, and only 2 people supporting us, and 3 people basically ignoring everything we've been saying. So moving on from that. Okay, I need 24 hours or a whole day just to process, get my facts straight, just so I don't say anything that could mean anything wrong. I could be wrong in what I'm about to say, but I feel like I need to vent, and not through the screaming frustrations and whatnot. And then I have to talk about another thing that kind of worries me about something in the future, mostly for the Hollywood industry, but that's beside the point. Even though you could make the argument this could actually affect the plan that's going on regarding Disney and Fox and the streaming service industry, since, you know, the internet is kind of the main priority here. So the FCC, since November, and probably before that, led by the chairman, Ajit Pai, and I'm pretty certain I got that name completely wrong because I cannot pronounce a foreign name for the life of me, yet I'm able to pronounce Star Wars names quite well sometimes. Like now, I'm able to pronounce Chirrut Imwe, and I never thought. And back in Rogue One, I just kept calling him the blind guy because I thought like I couldn't pronounce the name right. So yeah, Ajit Pai, and like I said, I'm pretty sure I got the last name wrong, who was appointed by Obama back in 2012. So before anyone goes ahead saying it's directly 100% Trump's fault and whatnot, and I'm not saying I support Trump. I don't. I generally don't care. Like, okay, it's hard to really give my opinion on the political stuff going on. Like, I've only talked about politics, like, what, twice? And one was not really well known. I talked about the election and what was going on at the time. And then now I'm talking about this. So you can call this the political trilogy. At least until the next bullshit happens. Like, say, the return of SOPA. Okay, so Ajit Pai, okay, has kind of had a thing against the whole regulatory rules of the net neutrality policy that Obama initiated back in, what, let me see, it's been, I'm trying to remember when it was formed, 2015. So, Ajit Pai was against this, and I must stress, he was appointed by Obama to be a member of the board. Trump just promoted him to chairman status. So, you can't make a 100% argument that it's all Trump's fault. You could make the argument that if he didn't put him in power, well, who's to say this argument still would have happened? He probably, and considering what I've learned about the guy from various videos in the past 48 hours, I'm seriously amazed that this happened. In terms of, wait, why the fuck is this guy in charge of the FCC? So, yeah. Back in November, and like I said, probably before that, Ajit Pai and the council had announced that they were going to decide a vote on whether or not to get rid of net neutrality, at least under their declaration. At first, it might have to go through the courts and Congress, so we still have a fighting chance. And the internet got pissed off, and then then it was said that originally they were hoping to keep this under the rug and not let anyone know about this thing. Because, oh, you think people are going to be on their phones, busy and whatnot with the holidays and Thanksgiving week? We seriously don't know what the internet is, do we? Or the chairman doesn't know what the internet is. So, yeah, anyways. I was mad, so many people were mad, and we were now starting to riot in the digital streets of the internet world and whatnot, but, yeah, and I was like, okay, and like, all this sounded very familiar. Wait, where have I heard this? People who are trying to decide to basically either destroy the internet's foundation, crack it, control it, and make money off of it for any way possible. That sounds like I don't know, SOPA, PIPA, the Anti-Counterfeiting Treaty Agreement, or Trade Agreement, that was actually signed, but Congress just, like, never got a chance to ratify it. And then, and allow me to just say this. I know this is going to sound horribly dark to some people, but, Trump actually might have done one good thing in his time in office, at least I could find, and under the tons of BS. He wrote an executive order in his first week to get us out of that treaty agreement, which was basically international SOPA, which basically does everything SOPA does, but on an international level. Yeah, that's the one good thing I could find. So, moving on. But now that months now, it just sounds like this whole that signing and get rid of it or get out of it was kind of pointless, since now this happened, provided whatever goes on in the coming months. So some people were like wondering, wait, what is net neutrality? And I gotta be honest, I was one of those people. I looked it up, which is basically the regulations of the internet, or at least in the US, where basically, okay, these were like the following practices. There are 3 of the main practices, but there probably were a bunch of others. Internet service providers could not discriminate against any lawful content by blocking websites or apps. Service providers could not slow the transmission of data based on the nature of the content, as long as it's legal. Service providers could not create an internet fast lane for companies and consumers who pay premiums, and a slow lane for those who don't. And, okay. Okay, for many years, I will say this. I were always wishing, hoping, that we would eventually move on from the stale, robotic personalities of robotic politicians that the media, the world, and whatnot have done, and how they describe them as roboticless, emotionless, power-hungry corporate scumbags. I was hoping that maybe we would get a politician with a personality, so he can be more identifiable and not be seen as, you know, your average politician. However, my wish kinda came true as the years went by, except I thought back and I was like, okay, can I rephrase that statement? Instead of having a politician with a personality, I should have been more specific. A politician that is not a complete jackass with his personality, which many people could say Trump is. Ajit Pai, however, okay, I don't care if you're Democratic or Republican or in the middle or a bunch of third parties which goes on this balancing stuff and whatnot. Here's the thing, I generally don't care about the political stuff. I actually call myself independent because, honestly, some parties are right, some parties are wrong. And it doesn't matter which one. You could be both. You could believe one is right than the other is. Yada, yada, yada. Though I have been tempted to talk about the chaos that has brewed since the 2016 election. Yeah, that's gotten very ugly. So, basically, the best way to sum up this year is basically calling it 2016 Part 2. Like, it didn't feel like nothing changed. Instead of celebrity deaths happening left and right, rest in peace Carrie Fisher and everyone else. Carrie Fisher was more like the most impactful one, but moving on. Now we're getting sex scandals of Hollywood after Weinstein happened. Harvey Weinstein or Weinstein. And networks were just canceling stuff left and right, firing people left and right after allegation of allegation. The most shocking of, well, okay, it's not really hard to be shocked. Like, here's my, okay, I don't know how to go into this. But it's more like, yeah, House of Cards? Oh, God, was I very pissed off when I had found out what happened. Oh, God. Oh, by the way, that show's resuming production, but they're not having Kevin Spacey at all after what happened. So, yeah. So, yeah, why am I talking about the politician that has a personality and a politician that should not be a jackass about it? Okay, so Ajit Pai, 48 hours ago, at the time of this video's production, had made a video talking about the internet and what would happen when net neutrality is removed. And I was like, okay. Before that even, I had seen images upon images of Ajit Pai holding fidget spinners, dressing up as Santa, just doing this smug smile and whatnot. I was like, no way. Okay, the smile part, yeah, that's pretty common. I've seen like a bunch of images that kind of come across as arrogantly douchebaggery, but moving on. I was like, no way. He's not really dressing up as Santa. That was clearly photoshopped. Then I saw the video. And then I was pissed even more. So, okay, when I watched the video, and yes, I'm still probably going to see a doctor because I saw this horrible video. The guy who made the video. Okay, let me just sum up the best way I can. I know Ajit Pai is not going to feel any sympathy for what he's done on that video, but the editor should feel bad, the director should feel bad, anyone who had any help in that video should feel bad that they made this horrible, insulting, degrading, oh my god, what the fuck mentality. So, yeah, Ajit Pai was basically listing out kind of stereotypical stuff about the internet, like, oh, you will still be able to post your foods on the internet, you'll still be able to post cat videos and cat pictures on the internet, and I'm like, okay, I thought that, wait, I get that people do that, but I thought that common cliche was dead for decades now, or a good 1 decade. I thought it was done a decade ago, where everyone just says, oh, people just like to post cat videos or cat pictures on the internet. Nowadays, it's mostly paranoia and SJW propaganda. Yeah. So, I was like, oh my god. Okay, he just listed stuff that we could, quote, still do on the internet. But what he did not mention, like, at all in the video, of what is affected when net neutrality is gone. Yeah, I looked at the video. I tried to find something that was any semblance of logic. You just listed stuff that people already do on the internet. So, what about what happens when it's affected? When net neutrality is gone? Like, you didn't say what will the internet service providers could do. You just said this. Like, okay, I would have forgiven him. Probably. I must stress that part. If he walked up to me, came up with a clear, logical explanation with tons of evidence to back him up, and maybe I could start saying, okay, I see your point, but I still might have to disagree with you on why this is kind of also a bad idea. So anyways, so we can have a fruitful debate, which is everyone's saying that's how the nature of a democracy goes, unless it gets to horrible violence in ways that we cannot imagine, like someone criticizing another person back in, like, what, the 1800s, and they get hit over the cane over a dozen times, and people were cheering for that back then and sent him canes to say strike him again. Yeah, that was how, in fact, people could make that argument that's how we kind of handled our problems, mostly with violence, when it comes to having a different mentality and opinion on something. In fact, you could even make the argument that the Disney movie Pocahontas is actually a little timeless with that song Savages. Because change the dialogue, nothing could change. You could actually change a little the wording, and you could make anything up. Like it's how society sees each other. But I'm not getting into all that all that horribleness. But yeah. So everyone was with bated breath and wondering what was going to happen on that fateful day, December 14th. And then when I heard what was the exact day, I was like, wait a second, something happened on this day. Like what? Like, okay, I get that Ajit Pai is banking on us to be apparently stupid, to be too focused on Thanksgiving to notice the report, too busy dealing with the holidays. But there was something about December 14th that was kind of, I don't know, something about this day seemed very scummy. And then I realized, what was it exactly? That was the 5th anniversary of what happened at Sandy Hook. Yeah. Okay, I get that there are votes and whatnot. I get there are big events on days of tragedy. In fact, virtually you can make the argument every single day had at least one major tragedy throughout history. But when something like this is happening that everyone knows is going to be very grieving about, since the wounds are still fresh in everyone's mind and will probably never go away for a long time. Okay, there's a guarantee on that. Doesn't it kind of come across that Ajit Pai, and I'm not trying to sound slanderous, but this is just my guess, it kind of comes across to me at least that Ajit Pai might have been banking on us to be grieving as well about what happened that day. Because the internet was, in fact, okay, and also when he posted that video, I gotta say it, did you not see the blatant problem here when he posted that video? Okay, imagine if there was no net neutrality and he made a video parroting off of the whole net neutrality stuff. Still would have been god-awful, probably, but really, could he, if he had done what he wanted already, no net neutrality, would that video have gotten around much quicker, so quick, than, say, without net neutrality? You can make that argument. So, yeah. So, when the day finally came, everyone was fearing what was going to happen. Like, during the whole, quote, build-up to it, there were apparently millions upon millions of comments regarding saying, keep net neutrality. And he was like, let's see, Ajit Pai, who, might have responded insensitively to comments sometimes, and made videos about it. Yeah, the fact that this guy made videos kind of, like, okay, I get there were some harsh comments, I get that, but the way he was responding with that smug smile, it doesn't help his case. Anyways. There was a series of other weird things. The comments when everyone was saying that they were supporting this, there were over 20 million or so, I believe, saying they were supporting net neutrality. They were saying like, oh, well, let's see, there's like a couple million at best that were fake, and some were Russian accounts. So we're gonna just go ahead, look into this, but not really, and say that all those comments were thereby fake. But all these 1.3 comments supporting our decision to try and get rid of net neutrality, we'll side with them, even though it's been reported that a vast majority of those comments were also fake. Your eyes are wrong. There is no truth to that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was banking on us being that stupid. And here's the thing. Someone on Twitter showed a picture of a list of the comments, and this person mentioned that his mother had died last year, and this year she would have been 71. And if the person ever somehow comes across this video, I express my condolences. He showed the document from the government website that showed his mother's name, full name, I must stress, died a year before all this, was in support of getting rid of net neutrality. You see what the problem here is? It kind of, almost, okay, not kind of, almost guaranteedly, comes across that could they be faking comments? Not the Russians, because we already have enough paranoia with the Russians and with the North Koreans and virtually everyone else in the world after what happened for the past couple of weeks, especially what happened in the Middle East. And that was last week. And the media's apparently disregard for even giving two shits. Like the execution of Daniel Schaefer video that was uploaded after the court hearing declared that the cop was not guilty, even though the video should say otherwise. The ignorance of the whole, I don't know, Jerusalem talks. And they say the main priority is the fact Trump drinks 12 cans of Diet Coke and watches 4 hours of TV. Even though even the most diehard, hateful, anti-Donald Trump guy would say, who the fuck cares about that? No, seriously, I hate Trump as much as the next guy, but who cares about that? So, yeah. I still don't get that. So, yeah. Also, Ro Khanna, I'm pretty sure I got that pronounced, who is a Democrat of California, posted a screenshot from a Portuguese mobile carrier that showed subscription plans with names like social, messaging, video, and emailing cloud, music, and various other stuff that had bundle packages basically saying, oh, you want to access the net? Well, you gotta buy these packages individually, and you gotta pay them each month. Let's see. For messaging, it's €4.99. Social, €4.99. Video, €4.99. Music, €4.99. Email and cloud. And surprisingly, one of them is Google, and I'm surprised Google has not declared war on them for this. Let's be honest, they probably would have. €4.99. Ouch. And, yeah, also, they might have neglected to mention the part well, this is a Portuguese website, so I probably won't be able to understand the translations, but they did seem to want to mention the whole, even if you buy them, you still gotta, like, sign up and pay for that company that owns that product that we're blocking you from. Not the social networking sites, unless they come with premium packages as well, but, like, the streaming site like Netflix has to be paid, or the future Disney streaming service has to be paid, or hey, you want to play those music stuff, you want to go ahead and upload music content, you gotta pay more money for subscription fees from that company, which will most likely be raised by prices due to the fact that we are charging people just to get access on there, and people will not want to do that. And if you already have subscription fees on those separate sites, well, we're still blocking you because we fucking hate you. So, yeah. So, when this debate was happening, there was this lady who's part of the group of the 5 counselors who gave a passionate speech about why this is horribly wrong and whatnot, and yada yada yada. We know how this goes. Then she took quotes from a GPI and used it against him. Everyone on the internet was praising her like, you go. Yeah, you're making sense. She's speaking common sense. Okay, now, I was mostly I'll call her badass for basically calling a GPI out on his bullshit. I was curious. Considering this guy has done nothing throughout this entire year but become a smug, arrogant kind of jackass with a smug smile that kind of actually piss people off, I wonder what his response is going to be. Is he going to defend his statements with intelligent commentary and also give common sense arguments? Oh man, you must think he is a future actor if people actually believe that. No. He just said this and people clapped and approved of what he said in that meeting. So I'm going to mark you down as a no then. Okay, moving on. And I'm like, oh my god. And I'm not kidding. Looked up the video. This was broadcast live. So you can't make the argument that they edited everything out. I mean, like the media probably will, because it's the media. But anyways, and before people say, oh, this is fake news and whatnot that you're promoting regarding Trump's this whole war on fake news, I've always known the media was lying to everyone's faces a lot, like, for years now. Anyways, moving on. The fact that Ajit Pai said that clearly shows he's not even going to give a lick of sense of reason. He's just going to say, okay, I'll mark you down as a no. Moving on. Like, you're not even going to defend anything you said. You're not going to defend why you believe to get rid of these regulations. You're not going to even attempt to defend your arguments. And the people who I don't want to say this, but it just feels like it, sheep, just, he's funny, everyone laughed. The guy made a joke during a serious meeting that could affect the whole country and probably the world and probably everybody who will most likely riot on the streets afterwards. And I do not see anything wrong with what we will decide. So in a vote of 3-2, they got what they wanted. Now, they had to fight Congress and the courts. So we still have a fighting chance, I must stress that. But there's also been people that are already giving up on this situation, even though there's still a backup plan. And no, I'm not talking about texting Ajit Pai's address. I'm not talking about sending bomb threats at them, because there have actually been people in the last 24 hours doing that under the guise of they're feeling like they're doing the right thing, even though that's really fucked up. Like, I'm just as pissed off as the next guy, but I'm not going to go ahead, walk out to them and say, I'm going to kill you for taking away the internet. Like, seriously, I'm not doing that. That's fucked up. I'm not going to jail for that. And like, and here's the thing. I was kind of a little bit in denial, you could say, when I was like, okay. There are only 2 positives towards this whole blocking system thing they want to do, most likely. And I just took these more as jokes to myself, as if a way to make me somewhat feel better and get a little laugh out of my friend I was talking to about this. But the first positive is Trump has to pay more to get on Twitter. Yeah. Okay, yeah. And the other thing, I kept joking around with my friend, even though we knew this was a bad situation. Well, at least they'll shut the. At least that will shut the SJWs. That's the very only 2 things I can joke about regarding this, but other than that, I can't. So, yeah. Now we need. Okay, so people are still calling their congressmen, calling the courts, calling all politicians they can in their whoever their states have representatives, to tell them don't let Ajit Pai win mentality thing. Okay, that's the logical approach. The illogical approach is to make terroristic threats and most likely get sent to jail, or locked up in a federal prison, or be horribly targeted by people. Though, you wanna know what my response was to all this BS, to all this regulation removal? Okay. I just went on Twitter and posted GIFs. Mostly me saying that even Palpatine would find this fucking stupid. Why do I say Palpatine of all people would find this stupid? Because, okay, imagine every modern fictional character that has used the internet as their weapon. Could you really imagine any of these guys, any fictional villain that uses the internet, would agree with this idea? Got nothing? Okay. Like, if you do, just say in the comment section. But anyways, yeah. I can't imagine a single villain, unless their plan was to destroy the internet by infecting it with a virus, which Kim Possible did one time, but failed miserably. The villain failed miserably, not Kim Possible. Yeah, so that guy could be friends with a GPI. So, yeah, anyways. But a person who uses the internet as their tool to build up something or to plot something, they would find this freaking dumb. Like, I kept posting GIFs of Palpatine saying, "It's treason then," from episode 3, because that's the best way to describe what I was feeling. Like, this is an act of treason to me. And plus, a lot of people use the internet most either to express their opinions, start up something, or to just get away from the fucked up reality we have to live in. I would say most likely the latter, but also to spread information and not be horribly corrupted by the media. So, yeah, and if the internet is, if they all agree to get rid of net neutrality, I'm guaranteeing there's going to be a riot. I definitely believe there most likely will be a riot. And not the good riot. And there's not even a good riot. Like, not the ones you see in video games where people just stand, and not the SJW mentality of just protesting for no reason. They will have a legitimate reason to protest other than X-Men billboards. Because X-Men, or something like that. I'm still trying to process that problem, that incident, and that was last year. So, yeah, and here's the thing. And I know what I'm about to say is going to piss a lot of people off. I'm not saying the government needs to completely regulate the internet, because we didn't want that to happen when SOPA was being announced, Piper was being announced, and the dozens of other internet censorship bills. People agreed that they don't want the government to have complete autonomous authority, because that would be a dangerous weapon. So, yeah. But I'm not saying we need to give all internet power to the people. Like, there needs to be a balance. I'm willing to find a middle ground at best. Like, I generally, like if we were stuck in this situation and whatnot, like the problem we're probably going to be in soon, I would say, okay, can we find a balance here? Can we find a balance? I'm pretty sure we can get together, come up with a plan to have both parties win. Like, it reminds me, okay, and not to the major extent, but like, okay, for like a couple of years ago, me and one of my friends were talking about this game called Rust, which was by the guy who made Gary's Mod. I think it was Rust or another game, I could be wrong. So, there was a talk about how people were saying the game's not challenging enough, and then the developers put in zombies, and then people wanted everything to go back to the way it was, and there were arguments left and right saying, we want zombie servers, we want normal servers, and I was picturing myself being in the center of the screen fest, and I would look at both of them and think to myself, okay, I have the solution for all of it. Everyone wins from this. Just make 2 freaking different servers. One that has zombies, one that don't. I'm pretty sure the developers can do that. There! You both lost your arguments! So I win on this. I win because I'm using my fucking brain for this. So yeah, I'm not saying we need a complete regulation of the government to control the internet, because that would be the dangerous fucking idea and the worst case scenario of the world. The nuclear Armageddon, or zombie apocalypse if that was to ever happen, or any other form, or alien intervention when, if we ever go through something like what Christopher Columbus did to the Indians when he came to America, and how, considering I live in America and considering what happened when the New World encounterment happened, and how it happened in the following centuries. Yeah, anyways. So, yeah. And considering if we gave everybody free, a regulatory, no regulation, full go all out with the internet, let's be honest, the internet is already a big cesspool. Okay? Let's be honest, it's honestly a ginormous cesspool. Like the YouTube comments are toxic a lot. very toxic a lot. Like what happened with Chris Stuckman is an example of that when he posted a script that I did not care about. No, seriously, I did not care about what he wrote. If he wanted to write that, he just did that for fun, that was fine. But to make all these memes and jokes and even like pissing him off and almost destroying one guy's dream, a guy who was a big fan of Chris Stuckman, I was seriously shocked when Chris Stuckman talked about that. And also pissed off at the internet. But, like, here's the thing. Instead of... You want to know what most likely could have happened if a G-Pie actually fought with his freaking head and not just beat... oh, that's what people on the internet do, right? They look at cat videos or they take pictures of their food. Like, that's what everyone does on the internet, right? In fact, I'm surprised you did not go with the other thing a lot of people like to do on the internet. Not gonna get into that. So, yeah, he could pluck any SJW mentality on the internet, and there you have it. He wins his argument to an extent. And we can also counter that statement, but he'll have the internet as his main source of weapon as to why we need to get rid of the regulations, at least in his mind at least. So, yeah, I keep thinking there needs to be a proper balance at best, if push came to shove, but not, and here's the thing. Where do you, like, I'm pretty sure some people might say there was nothing wrong when net neutrality wasn't around. Yeah, that was when the internet wasn't the way it is now. Could you really imagine if there was no net neutrality ever established? Could you imagine Twitch getting big? Could you imagine YouTube getting to the level it's at? Mostly controversial, so that's off the table on that. Could you imagine Netflix getting as big as it did? Could you imagine all these streaming services, messaging systems, social networking platforms getting to a level that was never thought possible if net neutrality didn't exist? Because when the streaming business started booming much bigger and bigger and bigger, the cable networks knew, okay, we're in trouble. So if we didn't have net neutrality, they would probably have started what happened in Portugal. And we'd be kind of at a standstill. So, yeah. Like I said, I'm pissed off. I'm mad. And I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, small businesses could be in danger. People are freaking out. Netflix is freaking out. Twitch is freaking out. So many people are freaking out what's gonna happen in the coming months or weeks. Yeah, that's the way to cap off 2017, and it's not even the end of the year yet. We're a little halfway there. We're a little ways there. So, yeah, and like I did mention, I was going to talk about Disney and the Disney Fox deal. Yeah, I could have probably done that first as a way to build myself up for the net neutrality thing, but here's what I will say as a way to interconnect the both videos. Net neutrality, if it's gone, could also affect Disney's little streaming service plan. Because, yeah, you really think could you really imagine the cable companies just being cool with Disney taking big property names and making exclusive work on the streaming service only? Like, I don't know, the live action Star Wars series they're planning to produce? All these movies and TV shows that haven't been on the air in years, and many networks would love just to have them rerun it so they can get more money out of it. Could you really imagine that? And they would also want to promote their streaming services, and since they're internet service providers, they can do that as they can cause enough damage. So yeah, so that's my only way to tie this all in. Now, next video, I will be talking about the Disney Fox deal, and then hopefully after I see The Last Jedi, I will talk about that. That's a guarantee. I am freaking hoping it's really awesome, and I am freaking hoping that I get a moment in that movie that justifies the reboot, because so far nothing's worked. Seriously, lightsaber guns. And then I will talk about Clash of Champions and all that. And then I can reprieve from destroying my lungs from all this talking. But let's be honest, I'm probably going to be close to over 3 hours worth of videos. Like, we're already at the 40-minute mark, so, yeah. I think I should just end it here. So, this was my thoughts on FCC's decision to get rid of net neutrality. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. If you like, comment, subscribe, and donate, stay tuned for more.